everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Cinephilia. We're back, and there were more changes to the technology of the show. So please let me know if it's broken or not functioning. I'm looking over there because I don't know if I'm in the shot. I'm in the shot. Well,
We're both in the shot.
we're both in the shot. I didn't check the camera because I'm the guy running the stuff at the same time, so I wasn't able. So Will was in there, I knew, but I'm here. How's everybody doing?
And let us know how we sound, if we sound good too.
Yeah, there was some updates to the system, so hope it works. Cool.
We're talking about Bong Joon-ho today. His new movie Parasite is out, at least in LA and New York, but I don't know if it's out everywhere.
I tried to find a theater.
Not playing like anywhere.
No, I would try. Well, I was in Vegas. I was like, maybe I'll try to catch it while I was out there this weekend, and I couldn't. There was one theater, and it wasn't close.
Right.
So we haven't seen it.
Yeah, we haven't seen Parasite, but this episode we're going to talk about all of his work leading up to Parasite because he's a director we like. We already like his previous films, so we can get into that as a precursor to getting you guys to go see Parasite. Yeah. I posted yesterday. I posted a story on Instagram about how jealous I am of everyone who has seen Parasite and The Lighthouse already, because The Lighthouse comes out next week as well. And these are two movies I've been excited for all year, and I keep seeing like friends pop up saying that they've been to see one or the other. I'm just like, God damn it, I want to go see it.
I know it sucks that these movies don't get, placed, and you have to go hunting for them.
Right.
It's dumb. I wish more theaters would, especially the big theaters who have like 30 screens. Just dedicate 2 to smaller movies.
But they have to show Joker Joker and Maleficent every hour, twice per hour or something like that. So they don't have enough theaters to actually show movies like these.
Guess not. The chat is very quiet. I hope we are live.
Seems like we are, but...
So let's chat about the news. What's on the news today?
There actually is a lot of stuff that's been going on. I guess we could talk about Gooch Camper's here. Hey, how's it going? So we've got someone watching. So like last week we were talking about, or maybe it was even the previous week, I don't remember because this has been going on for so long, but like Martin Scorsese and Jennifer Aniston spoke out against Marvel. And then this week Francis Ford Coppola joined in and said, I guess Martin Scorsese had said that Marvel wasn't cinema, and then Francis Ford Coppola backed him up and said that Marvel was actually despicable.
Martin Scorsese was the first one, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I don't like it. I don't think it's cinema. And then Francis Ford Coppola came in hard. He was like, I'm going to be like total asshole about it. Which is, it's just, why did they need to voice that opinion? Like, who was it on? Was it on your post or somebody's post on online? Said something like that. How come they've never had like an opinion about Rob Schneider movies?
Yeah, that was me.
That was
me that said that.
I was like, why now?
Because as lots of people pointed out to me in the comments of that, which I knew, or I was saying it tongue in cheek, but because Rob Schneider movies never really had a fan base, and they don't threaten Scorsese or Coppola's theater income. Like, if everyone's going to see a Marvel movie, then these directors are afraid that they're not going to get the audience to come see their movie, which is ridiculous because people who like Coppola or Scorsese are going to go see
Copeland's. Yeah,
like they're the big dogs. Like, people aren't going to avoid going to see their movies just because a Marvel movie is out. I don't think.
And it's a whole different thing. I'm gonna go see a Marvel movie, and I might also go see a Coppola movie. Yeah, probably not.
I feel like I mean, there is some overlap. There are people who like both.
Yeah,
but they are definitely two different audiences. Like, Marvel is, we get it. It's the summer, even though they come out like 2 or 3 times a year now. But they're still like the summer popcorn action movie.
Yeah,
you don't go into it thinking you're going to see a Scorsese or a Coppola movie. They're two different types of film, but they both can exist at the same time.
Yeah, you can have a book that's super serious and life-changing, or you could have some popcorn, you can have the Hunger Games, the book, I mean. And it's the same thing. It's entertainment one way or another.
Right. But then...
Old people.
But then, wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more. I thought we were done.
Well, this is it for Marvel, but then also just recently, after Coppola mentioned that about Marvel, Scorsese came back, not about Marvel, but came back and had comments about not only women in film, but also like younger generations getting their news and information from phone screens, and how that is just giving them bits instead of the whole story. So he's saying that like the two different things he's talking about is the idea that people can't learn history from like, you know, looking at a phone screen, which is kind of ridiculous because it's you have access to the internet, so you have access to everything there. And also kind of ridiculous coming from Scorsese because his movies aren't necessarily historically accurate.
Yeah.
Like he's just making lots of mobster movies and stuff. But then he also said that that women as leads in movies aren't here. I'll say the actual quote because I don't want to misquote it. And I have it right here. Or at least I thought it did. Bear with me for a moment.
We're bearing with you. And I'm also trying to, somebody in the comments and the chat mentioned that sound might be low.
So
please give me more confirmation, people, so I can try to fix it.
So in regards to women being leads in movies, Scorsese says, if the story doesn't call for it, it's a waste of everybody's time. If the story calls for a female lead, then why not? Which, you know, I understand the point. Like, not every story is going to have a female lead because it depends on the story you're telling. But also looking at Scorsese's film history, we see that he doesn't really, you know, tell stories with women as leads. So it's kind of that statement specifically coming from him is kind of a shrug, like, it's kind of an awkward moment. But I think that when I shared that quote on my Facebook page, I also added that I think that we should be focusing less on trying to change, and this goes with their ideas of Marvel movies as well, trying to focus less on trying to change the ideas that these old filmmakers have, because they've been making movies forever. They make good movies, but they have their specific movie that they make, like, and it's fine. That's what they do. And instead of trying to diversify their ideas and their movies, I think we would be better focused on diversifying the industry in general, because once we get other directors, directors of color, women directors, gay directors, whatever, once we get those people behind the camera more, we're going to automatically see more of those stories and more different kinds of those stories that automatically diversify the industry.
So stop worrying about the old people complaining
Yes.
and just keep working at the stuff we're working on.
Right.
Ignore the old people complaining. And you know, I don't want to take away completely from them because I understand kind of where they're coming from, even though I feel like it's a little misplaced. I can see how they're not, because they're old people. They don't understand. They don't understand that we a lot of us who kind of grew up with this stuff do actually get the emotional connections and all that stuff that they sort of said you're missing it. We don't. There was people crying and laughing and everything through all these Marvel movies.
Right.
They're just because they're not connecting with it doesn't mean that everybody else can.
And I'm going to say it, like, Black Panther for me was an emotional experience because we never had black superheroes on that level, and just a movie that took place in non-colonized area of Africa is incredible. And that's not something we ever would have gotten from either Coppola or Scorsese or their definition of cinema. So yeah, I think we can find the good in any type of movie. Like it's.
We have time. I don't know. Ray Cooper says that Martin thinks bad idea is better than no media to get people to watch The Irishman. Oh, media coverage, so getting his name out there. I mean, it could be that.
Yeah, all of this was in regards to him promoting The Irishman, which is, I feel like if you have to strike down someone else's work or something else in order to hold yourself up or give yourself attention, then it's kind of a bad sign to me. But
Yeah, maybe your movie's not very good. I mean,
It's
yeah, maybe your
Scorsese
movie's
is
not very
probably
good.
Scorsese makes good movies. It's probably going to be a good movie, but I think that both Scorsese and Coppola also are finding themselves. They tell the same type of movie over and over again, and I think that they see that people want different types of movies now, and they're afraid that they're going to be pushed out, which may be the case if they keep making the same movie over and over again. It may be the case.
Yeah. All right. It says I have no idea who Scorsese is.
I'm interested since Scorsese was so down on Marvel movies. I'm interested what his take on Joker actually was, because Joker is very much inspired by Taxi Driver, which is a Scorsese movie.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I'd be interested to hear what he has to say about Joker. He's seething over it.
Probably.
Maybe that's why he doesn't like comic book movies now, is because they're... Reed H. Cooper said Martin worked on Joker. So maybe he's against Marvel movies just because he's on the DC bandwagon.
Yeah, I think there's like executive producer or something like that on there.
I didn't even realize it because I still haven't seen Joker.
Just refuse to see it. I just haven't had time.
But in other news, because there is a lot of other cool things happening, we already talked about Zoe Kravitz being cast as Catwoman.
We did. Immediately when the show started last time.
But since we talked about that, they've also added the Riddler. Did you see who was cast as Riddler?
No, what did they cast as Riddler?
Paul Dano. When you see his face, you'll know his face. And I actually think that it's pretty cool casting because he's got a quirky style to him, but he also has like a he's kind of off. He was in Swiss Army Man. Did you see Swiss Army Man?
I did not.
Okay, he was opposite Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, that
in that
guy.
Yeah. So I can kind of see him on one hand being like a nerdy type of character who would set up these kinds of entrapments for Batman, but I can also see him as being sort of a weird, quirky character who has like a creepiness to him. Yeah. So I think he's well cast. I think this movie is actually, this new Batman movie is actually shaping up pretty well, I think.
So far, so good.
And what's his name?
Yeah, he seems good.
The guy who was in talks to be Penguin. I can't think of his name. I couldn't remember his name last week either. He's dropped out. He's not.
Oh, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, well, he dropped out completely.
Right, he's dropped out altogether, so he's not going to be a part of the movie. Also, in comic book casting news, I don't know if anyone else other than me is excited for a Venom sequel. I kind of am excited for it. But they just cast Naomi Harris, who was Tia Dama in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and also Sharon's mom in Moonlight.
She's really?
Yes. Tia Dama is Sharon's mom in Moonlight. That's his mother. And she's also in a new movie called Black and Blue that's out right now. That's about her being a black police officer and having to deal with corrupt police officers, but also having to deal with not being seen as a good person because she's a police officer, so she's got it from both sides. That's a movie that's out right now. It's not getting great reviews, but I kind of want to see it just because I'd be interested in seeing the complexities that they try to play with in that movie. Yeah. But anyway, Naomi Harris, has just been cast as the villain of Venom 2.
What is the villain?
The character's name is Shriek. She's a character from the comics, and if you know Carnage from the comics, she's Carnage's girlfriend in the comics. But she's going to be the villain of Venom 2. So it's going to be, I'm excited for this. It's going to be Naomi Harris and Tom Hardy, who I love, in a comic book sci-fi movie that is like the first Venom movie was just like ridiculous. Not an amazing movie, but just watching it was a lot of fun. But this one is also going to be directed by Andy Serkis.
Okay.
So it's like, it's kind of like taking a property that I like and then putting all this like greatness with it is going to like lift it up. I hope.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool. And then
I feel like that part of Sony Studios have been trying to make better things.
Yeah.
They've been like getting that Marvel push. I think Steven said, "Oh, we can make good things. Let's just throw money at it and put good people in it."
And then with the whole thing with Spider-Man and MCU, I don't know where exactly they decided Spider-Man lands within Sony, but there's the idea that Spider-Man and Venom might meet up at some point in their own continuity, like Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I don't know like what the legalities are that because they just
how they're gonna
figured
make that work,
figured all that out. So we'll see. But even without Spider-Man, I think it'll be at least a fun movie. I'm not gonna say like. But this is the thing. We were just saying that comic book movies are like, popcorn action movies. That's what we get from comic book movies or from most comic book movies. I know some people are trying to change that idea of comic book movies, but I'm okay with that. So I enjoyed the Venom movie.
And more comic book stuff. So apparently The Watchmen starts or just started. And it's getting like pretty good feedback. I've heard really good things about it, which I was like, this is going to be a weird thing. And then apparently it's so far so good.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird because it's so different from, I haven't seen it, but just like from seeing the trailers and people talking about it, it's apparently so different from the actual comic, the Alan Moore comic, that a lot of people I know were worried about it because of that. Excuse me. I got hiccups all of a sudden.
Yeah, they did a good thing of trying to avoid the weirdness of the original because there's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
And to taking that and just, hey, it happened, but now we're 30 years in the future. And it's everything that happened is accepted. We're just moving on and telling a story in that same world, which I think gives them a lot of freedom.
So these are like all new stories.
New stories, yeah.
That just happen in the same continuity. And the big person that they're promoting with the new show is Regina King, who is an actress that I'm a huge fan of. And have been following her since I feel like I kind of grew up with her. But seeing her, leading a superhero show is kind of cool. So I want to check it out, but I haven't been able to yet. It's on HBO, right?
On HBO.
Speaking of HBO, I'm going to use that as a segue.
Oh, yeah.
They announced that HBO will be getting the entire Studio Ghibli library. So for the first time ever, at least in America, I don't know if it's been in Japan or not, but
they had been so against putting it on streaming.
Yeah, this is the first time that these movies will be streamable, and they'll be accessible.
Well, it's supposed to be on HBO Max, right? Which I don't know the difference now between HBO Max or HBO Go.
I have HBO Now, so I don't know
I have HBO Go. I don't even know the difference between those two.
Maybe HBO Go is supposed to be what you get as a supplement to having HBO cable.
Oh, and HBO Go is the standalone service. I think that's what it is.
One is I don't know what the difference is between the names. I don't know which is which. Yeah. But one is standalone and one is supplemental to having actual cable.
I wonder if this HBO Max is just here's the one service.
Maybe
they're gonna maybe get. We should have looked it up.
We should have. We just know the Studio Ghibli is coming to it.
You tell us what the difference is between HBO Go, Now, and Max. My guess is that Max is just gonna replace everything.
It would make it a lot easier if it did.
If it's just one service.
But you know what? Let's look
all I'm saying, I hope it does replace it because I currently have HBO Go for free through AT&T if you do the unlimited plan. Family plan thing that comes with HBO.
Right.
So I'm hoping literally just so that I can watch the Studio Ghibli movies.
HBO Max is an upcoming, so it hasn't actually come out yet. HBO Max is an upcoming American internet video on-demand service. I feel like what you were just saying is right. That HBO Max will be just like the maximum HBO everything, as opposed to all these different little. What's happening?
It's the news. I forgot to turn on the news thing.
God dang it.
That was busy with fixing the show. Cool. What else is in the news? Anything else in the news?
Yeah, there was something else. If you follow Cinephilia on Facebook, I'm kind of just going through the things that I've been posting about on there this past week to get the news. And there was something else. What was the other thing?
I was on vacation this weekend, so I didn't pay attention to
How was
anything.
Vegas?
Vegas was really fun. We saw Jimmy Buffett in concert.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really good.
I have two other things on here. Randall Park, who's an actor we like.
Yeah.
He just launched a production company.
Oh, that's right.
Just for telling Asian American stories, which is amazing. We need that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And he's on a good streak right now. So like,
Yeah,
I
he
think
is.
he's a good person to be at the forefront of that.
So I finally got to the last season of The Office. He's in one
Yeah, he's
episode.
in one of the episodes, yeah.
You have been saying, and I've been like looking out for him to show up, and then he shows up for
Yeah.
like literally like 2 minutes.
I think it's just the cold open. I think to
Yeah,
one of
it
the
is.
shows, and that's it.
But
Never shows up again.
I'm in the last season of The Office, and I'm almost done with the entire show.
Oh man, that last season is
There's
rough.
so many changes.
But then it hits a little too close to home at the end,
Oh.
and you're gonna feel it. You'll be like, oh.
Did they unionize? Did they try to unionize?
No, it's just
okay.
the whole wrapping up, and then like the you'll get there. It's
Yeah, Gooch Camper says Asian Jim. So yeah, he started a production company. So I'm looking forward. It was just announced, so I don't think we know any of the plans of the movies that are coming from it or shows even that are coming from it. But I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
And then
Let me know when you do finish The Office. We'll talk about it.
okay. And then the other thing, oh man, I should have segued into this from. This is what happens when you're not prepared. Going back to HBO.
Oh,
Another show coming to HBO is if you guys have seen the old B horror movie Maniac Cop. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it.
It's about this cop who kind of becomes like a slasher and is killing people because he's gone crazy. Anyway, that movie is being recreated as a show for HBO, but it's being headed by Nicholas Winding Refn, or NWR, because his name is so long and hard to pronounce. So that's the director of Drive and The Neon Demon and Bronson. So it's kind of a cool little mix-up for him to do Maniac Cop. I can totally see Maniac Cop being recreated in his vision. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be cool. That's it for the news.
That's it for the news. Let's get some trailers on. Yes. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, we have a trailer called. What's this trailer called?
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
It's based on a comic book superhero by the same name, but starring Vin Diesel as Bloodshot.
And initiate sequence.
Oh shoot! I should do that.
Memories are made of this.
What is this place?
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you got yourself killed at RST. We rebuild the most important assets in the U.S. military. Soldiers like yourself. You're the first who we've successfully managed to bring back, but improved, enhanced. With the technology in your veins, you have an army inside you that will not only make you stronger, it will heal you instantly.
Holy shit.
Now tell me, do you remember anything?
Where are you going?
I've got unfinished business. I'm gonna find the man who murdered my wife and kill him.
Oh, that's not good. All right, shut him down.
Little nanobots.
And initiate
I
sequence.
remember seeing the character like on comic covers, which I never actually read the comic. It's
Okay,
an old
who
volume
is the next
comic.
target for elimination?
Memories are made of this.
Tell me, do you remember anything?
But like
Do I
even
know
at the
you
last
asked?
comic
I
con,
don't
remember
think so.
So he's a well-known character.
Manipulating you. What you think is real sometimes ain't.
And initiate sequence.
You can't control me forever.
Sure about that?
This isn't a movie.
Revenge is what makes a man like you exceptional.
You know nothing about men like me.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Oh wait, no,
I feel like I just
He's the anti-Humpty Dumpty.
his head's
Oh,
It is.
you don't like Vin Diesel's head?
No, I'm not just saying. It's shaped like Humpty Dumpty. Oh, and I really need a special favor from the chat. Reed Cooper, how was that Bloodshot? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what take they're actually doing with this character. Definitely does not have the iconic look that the comic book character had.
I need a favor from the chat. Don't leave the show. Don't go away. But if you happen to find out that the Star Wars trailer comes out during the show, please let us know in the chat. Because it's supposed to drop today during Monday Night Football.
And we'll watch it as soon as it comes out.
We'll watch it. If we can watch it here, we'll watch it here. That'd be great. Beep, 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 beep. Next movie trailer is a movie called... Nope. This one. Uh-oh.
Which one is this?
Uh-oh.
Who you are, but who you hang out with.
I don't know anything about this.
Neither do I.
I love indie horror.
Well, that's the...
So you're gonna ask Roxy out again, or are you just gonna spank one out to her every day till graduation?
If it makes my life a little easier to hang out with one crowd over the other, then I'm gonna do what I have to do till I'm out of here.
Remember one thing, though.
You're having my sloppy seconds. I'm telling you, man, one day they're gonna go too far and they're gonna be sorry.
Okay. I mean, if I was gonna...
You do it.
And I get this shit.
Your face.
I have to tell you something. There's something inside. It wants to kill me.
Are you kidding me?
Tom, I swear to God, there's something inside.
All right, then show me. Let me see your pet monster. Dude, don't you see what this means? We can use this. This is power.
What?
Nobody's ever gonna mess with us again.
Are you crazy?
Think about it. It's not murder, it's payback.
This is not a gift or a weapon. This is dangerous.
I'm supposed to be your best friend. Look what they did to me this time.
What the hell is happening?
I think it might be
What's
that
inside
the
that
shit
shit?
is the monster.
Get in. What's inside that shit?
Huh. Well.
I'm willing to give it a go just based on the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I want to. I mean, the trailer worked in getting me interested in learning more. I want to know what exactly is happening with this shed. So
Yeah,
I want to see it.
That's what I was gonna say. It made me want more. So I don't know. We'll see what the chat say. Shed else got a crack. Nope. Stan versus the Dead, the movie. Maybe I have no idea what I just saw.
So we're all on the same page. At least
we're all confused.
we didn't miss anything that the chat saw.
Yeah, and people on Twitter said Mega Blazemon says people on Twitter say the trailer should be out in less than an hour.
Oh, for Star Wars.
For Star Wars. Ooh. Hello, D. Herstrom. Thanks for joining us.
So everyone, keep us posted on the Star Wars trailer.
All right, here's another horror movie for you.
This is not a horror movie. No, it's Lady and the Tramp.
Being a street dog
It's the new Disney Plus
isn't so
show.
bad at all.
It actually looks. I haven't seen the trailer, but
I'm free to be whoever I want to be.
But we love him.
Whoa! Walk wherever I want to walk. Hey, hi. Are you two twins?
I'm her husband, pal.
Aha! Eat whatever I want to eat.
He's a tramp. We are
You know what? Fine.
and we know he'll always stay.
Just remember, I got this the old-fashioned way. I stole it. Hey! Come back here!
That dog sure look trampy.
Whoa! Snob hell.
There we go. I got my color. I got it.
Let me just take a little guess here. You're the center of your people's universe, right?
You could say that. Your family's just about perfect. Don't, please.
Yes, I am.
Lady, that's basically all over now. You're about to be replaced.
They're not going to
Replace
they might sing a song.
I don't think so.
Lady, this is Lulu.
Disney won't let them do that song.
When the baby moves in, the dog moves
all the
out.
music in this is supposed to be.
Help me get this thing off.
I'm sorry.
It's not awkward at all.
This way. It's totally safe.
I'm not gonna do that. You're crazy.
You don't know the half of it.
Wow. What is this place?
There's a great big world out there with no fence around it.
Come on, lady!
I was thinking it was a series, but I think you're right that it is a.
Every day could be an
Plus
adventure.
exclusive movie.
Don't make it a series. Don't. This looks kind of cute as a movie. Yeah.
Original film. Okay. I think I agree. It will work better as a film. I don't know why I was thinking it was a series. Reed H. Cooper says this seriously gives low hopes for Disney Plus, actually.
They got Mandalorian. Mandalorian looks cool.
Yeah, I think that the other shows will probably be more popular on Disney Plus than this one. I think this is just like a cute little
This thing to throw at you.
thing.
It's kind of like, Disney original movies. They're going to throw random stuff at you. That's fine. I'm fine when they're just throwing stuff at us there.
And I'm also fine with if they want to keep doing their quote live action remakes, if they just put them on Disney Plus instead of putting them out in the theater. Maybe they'll actually they won't put so much pressure on making them what they are now because they've been pretty awful, and maybe they'll end up being good.
Some smaller filmmakers chance to kind of have a little freedom because they're not trying to make all this money in the movie theaters. They're just, which is weird because it feels like whenever they give smaller filmmakers freedom, they get better things. Instead of when they take full control of things, they make these big, huge things. It's stupid.
Disney Plus doesn't have Mars Needs Mom. I won't get Disney Plus until they admit that they made that film and put it on the service.
That was terrible. I wanted to like it because I really liked it. I really liked that process of that mocap that we're trying to get better.
Yeah.
And no, that movie's terrible.
But yeah, I feel like the other shows on there are going to be much more popular, like the Star Wars shows and the Marvel shows, because they announced a whole slew of Marvel. Like I'm actually excited to see a She-Hulk show. I still can't believe they're going to do that, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Was that the last trailer?
Oh yeah, until we get Star Wars.
Until we get Star Wars.
Let me check YouTube real quick.
While he checks,
I check,
we're gonna get started on Bong Joon-ho movies. So like I said, if you missed the first couple minutes of the show, Bong Joon-ho's new movie Parasite is out, but mostly in like LA and New York, and so we're close to LA, but we've been too busy to actually make it to LA to see it. So we haven't seen the new movie Parasite yet, but we're going to talk about all his other movies because his movies are great.
Which seems a little irresponsible since we're talking about him today. Just saying.
Would you like us to push back this episode?
No, we already started. I mean, Reed H. Cooper says, I might not have anything to contribute to this. I don't think I've seen any Bong. I see. That's why I keep thinking there's I think it's Bong Joon-ho. It's Bong Joon-ho. I keep thinking that the double O's are in the next thing. I forgot what I was saying.
Once we get to a point where we start to get invited to screenings, then we'll be really on top of seeing movies. But at this point now, we're still like just going to the movie theater and paying for our own tickets. So if you are someone involved with inviting press to screenings,
please send us.
Let us know. Or if you know someone, let us know. And then we can be more on top of these things for you guys. But for now, so Bong Joon-ho is a South Korean filmmaker who started, like most filmmakers, started making shorts and stuff. But his first feature film came out in 2000, and he's been working ever since then, making these great movies. He's kind of, what makes him really stand out to me compared to other filmmakers is that he has a way of juggling tone better than a lot of people. Like you go into his movies thinking you're gonna get one type of movie. Like he's done movies that are considered thrillers. He's done movies that are considered horror. Movies that are considered comedies. And so you go into a movie thinking you're gonna get one of those when you actually get all of it. Because there are moments of comedy in all of his movies. There are moments of horror in all of his movies, and he does a good job of shifting through those tones very well. And sometimes you'll be laughing and be like, should I be laughing at this? Because this is actually pretty scary or something like that. So his first movie that came out in 2000 was, I can't talk, Barking Dogs Never Bite. That's his first feature film. It was on Netflix. It's not. I just found out last week when I tried to go watch some of his movies over again that other than the two movies, other than the two English-speaking movies that he made, one of which was for Netflix, all of his movies aren't on Netflix anymore. They used to be. So that was upsetting. But you can still find them streaming on other places, and you can rent them. They're available. They're just not as easily available on Netflix as they were. But so yeah, I got to watch Barking Dogs Never Bite on Netflix. And as often with early films or with debut feature films, you can tell that he's pushing himself to try a lot of different things, and maybe all of those things don't line up as perfectly as they could, but you can see that he's like trying to find his voice, what he likes to do, who he's working with, and that kind of thing. The movie is about a college professor who's going through a rough time, like he can't keep his job and stuff like that. He's trying to get hired in academia, but at the same time, he's finding himself increasingly like highly irritated with the sounds of dogs barking. And this complex that he lives in, this housing complex, there are dogs barking all the time. Simultaneously in the story, there is a woman played by Bae Doona, who's such a great actress, and he's worked with her another time in The Host, but we'll get to that. She plays a woman who actually works at the housing complex, who starts to learn that dogs are going missing in this housing complex, and takes it upon herself to investigate and find where these dogs are going. And their paths cross. I mean, you can kind of like, I'm not going to give it away, but you can put together like, what's maybe happening. And it's also a very strange movie in that it's kind of a comedy, like it makes you laugh, but there's also this, running thread of dogs and dogs being kidnapped or worse, and how that kind of plays out. So that's what I mean by like Bong Joon-ho is really good at finding these tones. Like there are parts in the movie where you definitely get creeped out and icked out and just like, oh, that's awful. But then at the same time, he can make you laugh about something, and it flows naturally, and it works for the movie. Mm-hmm. Gooch Camper says that one is on Shudder, so
we can watch it.
You can watch it if you have Shudder, which, as I always say, Shudder is probably the best bang for your buck for a streaming service if you like horror movies.
And Tafe Tain says, could you talk about individualistic Hollywood storytelling versus communal storytelling in Korean blockbusters?
I wasn't prepared for that.
That's a deep question.
Well, I guess we'll probably get into that more when we get to when Bong Joon-ho actually makes his leap into making international movies, because he does. And these smaller Korean movies feel very much more like him, and I think that he kind of loses his way a little bit when he starts doing international big budget stuff. But I guess by communal storytelling, do you mean like how people work together to make movies, or I'm not sure I understand the question all the way.
Yeah, did you mean like the filmmakers themselves being individualistic versus communal, or in the actual stories, the stories being individualistic or the stories being communal? So if that makes sense.
Let us know. Clarify, please, and we will discuss. The next movie, I mean, he goes straight from, like I said, Barking Dogs Never Bite is very much him trying to find his voice and figure out how he wants to tell his stories. That's in 2000. By 2003, when his next feature film comes, which I also love, is that I love when directors like actually take their time and have years between their movies because they're actually focusing on making something nice. His next movie is Memories of Murder.
Which is great. And already by the second film, he's totally got his voice and he's got his own style that you start to see really come through. So you actually saw Memories of a Murder before I did. You actually recommended that I see it when we were talking about him. So how do you like this movie? What's your take on it? I love this movie. This movie, I discovered it because I watched a video on the director and about his visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And so visually, it has a lot of really cool visual. Is this the right trailer? Yeah, it is. Nope, it is not. This is the wrong trailer.
What trailer are you showing?
Memoir of a Murder. Memories.
Oh, was that Memoirs of a Murder?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a difference.
Oh, that's a terrible resolution. Sorry, can you take over for one second?
So, Memories of a Murder is actually based on a true story, and it's a retelling of the first serial killer or first serial murders that happened in Korea in the 80s and early 90s. So it's a crime thriller based on a true story. That's
it.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what the movie
So this
about.
movie has a really cool visual stuff. He does a lot of things with like group shots like this, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then he tells the whole story by doing it's almost like theater. Like he doesn't do a lot of cuts. Some of these shots don't have cuts, don't have movement. It's very, very just wide shots, and he allows the characters and very gentle movement of the camera allow you to tell the story, which I think is really cool. Story-wise, I like how it very slowly develops.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn, but you're getting little bits of information as they kind of hone in on this murderer, and it's fun to watch the different. There's a chief. There's like four or five main characters, and you kind of get to watch them each do their own process and how they work and how they're detectives. One of them is super violent. He's always kicking somebody, which is really funny. There's one who is the guy who they get from an outside. He gets like a transfer in. He's very like quiet and methodical.
Yeah.
He analyzes everything. The main character of this movie, he's more of the main guy, but he's kind of very gun ho. Just go find out things. Go attack the situation.
And the main character is played by Song Kang-ho, who's an actor that Bong Joon-ho actually collaborates with a lot. He shows up in a lot of his movies, so he becomes like a familiar face if you've seen a lot of his movies. But that idea that you were saying about having the four different detectives and seeing how they all work, one of my favorite things about his movies is how intricate they are, in that we're getting a couple of different stories happening at the same time. So in this movie, you get to see like the way different people work a case, but then they end up coming together and putting their information together and working the case together. But a lot of his movies deal with this idea that there are a lot of different things happening at once. And so you get to follow someone for a little while, and then you get to follow someone else for a little while, and then you see how their paths cross, or how one, even if they don't meet, how one affects the other. And it's this, maybe that's an idea of communal storytelling, is how it's not just one straightforward story, but we get like a lot of different perspectives from all over the place that end up coming together and forming the story to make it bigger and affect more people.
He has a good balance in this movie, particularly of that like seriousness of the situation, but there's sprinkles of humor throughout the whole movie, which I think is kind of what adds to the entertainment. Because it is kind of a slow movie that it takes a little while to get to this point, having those little breaks of humor, and not like silly humor. It's all within the context of it's real, but funny things that keep happening a lot, and repeated themes make it kind of entertaining to watch. Like in the video I was watching, one of the things is somebody's always falling in the center of a frame. Somebody's getting kicked into a frame. Somebody's like the guy tumble. Anytime somebody's falling, they're always falling center of frame, and they see this theme visually repeating throughout the movie. So it's really kind of fun to watch.
He has another thing that I'm not sure what the significance of it is. I'd have to look more into it because I have looked into it and I can't. I don't think I could find what it is. But he has a running theme in his movies of people making circles in their hands.
Oh, really?
And I think the first time it shows up is in Memories of Murder. Like there's one part where he's circling his hand, and I can't remember, like in the context of all the movies, what the significance is, or if it's just something cool that he likes to put in, or what. But yeah, there's a whole thing of like people just making circles in their hands.
I think this movie is currently streaming. You can watch it on YouTube for $3.99, but I think it's also streaming on Amazon Prime.
I think you're right. Because I got rid of my Amazon Prime, and that's why I couldn't watch it again.
So if you guys want to watch it, definitely check it out. Memories of Murder, Prime Video. Yep, it's on there.
So, not that I want to edge anyone towards getting Amazon Prime when I don't have it myself, but Twitch does have a new thing that they're testing out currently.
Yeah.
Which is if you have Amazon Prime, we could stream a movie from Amazon Prime, and everyone who has Amazon Prime who's watching it could watch it with us, and we could like comment directly while it's happening, which is a kind of a cool feature.
This would be a good movie to do it with.
This would be a good movie to do it with, yeah. So if you have Prime, that could be something that we could test out on a future episode of Cinephilia, is having an actual watch party, which would be fun to do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because
I think that would be something great for this show in particular. I think that would be a nice little thing. So, Memories of Murder is the movie that kind of gets Bong Joon-ho noticed by a lot of people. This is where he starts to actually get big. The movie ends up winning the Grand Bell Award, which is like the South Korean film industry awards, sort of like their Oscars. It wins Best Film there. And so it ends up getting lots and lots. It wins Best Film, Best Director, and Best Leading Actor. And so it gets lots and lots of attention. It also became the most watched film of the year in South Korea with over 5 million people in the audience throughout the year. And it's the 4th most viewed film of all time in the country.
Wow.
Yeah. It ends up screening, it gets invited to screen at Cannes Film Festival, where it also wins awards there. And Tarantino added it to his like top list of the year of movies of the year. So it starts to get, Bong Joon-ho starts to get lots of recognition for this movie, which kind of like snowballs into, him becoming an international director.
This is the host?
No, this is Memories of Murder.
Oh, it's still Memories of
This
Murder.
is still Memories of Murder. So this is just his second movie, and he's starting to get like, people are starting to see that he's like this amazing director already.
Because it's like one of those movies that you can tell was crafted. There's a lot of movies who I feel like directors kind of go out there and they film it and they kind of put it together. This one like was crafted way before it was like they even started shooting. Like you could tell that everything was thought about very carefully, and how they was shot, how the story kind of got put together.
That's another thing that I was very excited to learn when I was looking up his process of filmmaking, is that he heavily storyboards.
You could tell, yeah, he does.
Yeah, and I guess that's more prevalent now, but for a long time it was like storyboarding was mostly for animation. A lot of live action directors didn't jump into that, but yeah, he's very, very heavy on storyboarding his entire movie. So yeah, Memories of Murder ends up being named the best Korean film of the century.
I would agree. I not what come 100 because I haven't seen that many, but I'm happy for it to be there.
It's a good movie. So with all of that height and recognition that Bong Joon-ho now has from making Memories of Murder, he goes out and does a horror movie, which is like backwards from how we think of movies in America. In America, you make your horror movie, your little low-budget horror movie to get into film, and then you kind of like leave horror alone. Horror is like your stepping stone into being a successful filmmaker, which is how a lot of people think of it. That's not how I personally think of it, because I love horror and I love when all kinds of people make horror movies. But it is very different for Bong Joon-ho to get all this acclaim and then go, okay, I'm going to make a horror movie.
Yeah.
Another reason might be because the Korean horror scene is like big. Horror movies are big in Korea. So it might just be the difference in the way they look at movies there than we do here. But he went and made a horror movie called The Host. And this was the first movie of his that I actually saw. Like I said, I'm the horror guy, so I will navigate to horror movies. And I love Asian horror movies as well. So
Critical Chewy says, didn't Danny Boyle also do horror later?
Yeah, he ended up doing 28 Days Later.
Oh, that's right.
Later. Like after he was.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
Later.
I like 28 Days Later, and I think that they're working on a new one.
Oh yeah.
I think that I
Still
heard
Danny
that.
Boyle?
I don't know if it's Danny Boyle or not, but I think they're working on another one, and I remember people saying, "What's it going to be called? 28 Years Later or something like that." Those jokes. So The Host is like a action horror movie. It comes out in 2006, which is 3 years after Memories of Murder. It also stars Song Kang-ho, who is the lead of Memories of Murder, and Bae Doona, who is the lead of his first film, Barking Dogs Never Bite. I love the name Bae Doona. I just love saying her name, Bae Doona. But she's a great actress. They're both great actors. And this movie also introduces some English elements. This is the first movie of his that actually has a little bit of English in it. There are two American actors in it who, one is like a tourist who is just in the area when this monster first hits. And so him and the film's lead end up trying to save some people when this monster shows up, and it's like a chaotic moment at the very beginning. So I have to say, this movie, being the first movie of his that I saw, I fell in love like immediately.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a good 14 minutes you get into the film before you even realize that it's a monster movie. Like there's no mention of it. It's all just introducing characters, introducing the main family of the movie, just letting them and their relationships with each other play out a little bit. And then the monster shows up, and it's like the movie completely changes pace, like on a whim. And once the monster shows up, it's literally chaos for like 5 minutes straight, where it's just like people running and screaming from the monster as it's chasing them out in this courtyard. And it's like 5 minutes of that after, having this like calming little family drama at the beginning. It's sweet the way that Bong Joon-ho can just like flip on a dime, and it absolutely works. You've seen The Host, right? No, you haven't?
I have not.
You have to see it. We own it if you want to see it.
I should definitely
It's streaming
watch it
somewhere, but we definitely own it. Dave and I. Actually, Dave owns it. I don't. It's his copy.
Don't take credit for his movies. Thank you.
But yeah, it's this is also the movie that. Oh, we got a response, right? The moral of the stories in most Korean films I've seen put an emphasis on social cohesion. The capable everyman of American action films is completely absent. Instead, you'd see the adult figuring out their role and social responsibility. The most similar thing to a villain is a collection of selfish and incompetent characters. In The Host, you have ecological negligence. Yes, that's very true. So, so I mentioned that one of the American actors in The Host is a guy that's just a tourist in the area. The other American actor is actually someone you recognize as the, I forget his character, but the older guy on Walking Dead. That has the house that they end up on in like season 3 or something. Yeah, Herschel. So he's actually in The Host, and he plays a guy that's working at a lab where they're doing. I can't remember exactly what it is that they're doing, but he ends up instructing, and it's nice that this came from a white American male. He ends up instructing. Another Korean worker to get rid of these toxins by just dumping them into the sink, which goes into their sewer system. And this is what makes the monster appear. Yeah. So this is at the very beginning of the movie. Though you were talking about the Saoirse Ronan movie, The Host. Nope, that's a different one.
It's on Hoopla and Tubi.
I think it's on Canopy as well.
Canopy as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Hoopla and Canopy are both those streaming services that you get free with your library card, so you can watch tons of good stuff there. Tubi is actually a streaming service that you can also watch for free, but it has commercials. So, so you can watch it. It's not edited for television, like they don't censor movies or anything like that, but it does have commercial breaks. So The Host is available to watch if you want to check it out.
Definitely.
But yeah, I like that you bring up this idea of social cohesion, because The Host plays a lot with that as far as the responsibility and the roles of this family. So what happens in The Host is this monster attacks, and without giving too much away, the family that we are with before the monster attacks, the family we get to know, the youngest girl ends up being a victim of the monster. And so the movie follows the family as they seek out the monster to try to see if they can save the girl. We don't know if the girl is dead or if she's just been kidnapped by the monster or what's happening. We don't that's not revealed until later. But the family itself sets out on different paths to try to figure out how they can rectify the situation. Bae Doona plays a woman who is an Olympic level archer, and so she's like really great at like a bow and arrow. But she's away when this hits, and so when she comes back, she shows back up and brings her arrowing skills. It's really cool how like everyone plays a different role. It's sort of like if M. Night's Lady in the Water was better, because you get all of these people who are doing their own thing, but they come together. They come together to figure out how to make all of this work for what they need to do, and it's pulled off here. It's not like M. Night's where it's just like that's kind of cheesy. Yeah. It actually happens without being cheesy here. Everything is grounded and feels the way it should for a movie of this tone.
Speaking of that social cohesion, I think it happens in Memories of Murder too. Because it does kind of start as this movie where they're trying to find out who this murderer is, but all the detectives are going about it the wrong way, morally the wrong way. They find a guy who is like a mentally challenged, like guy who lives in town, and they blame it on him. They're thinking he's the one to do it. Oh, because he found the body. He finds an initial body, and then they interrogate him horribly. They beat him. They treat him just poorly, and it's when you see them not. This is when they're at their worst. Yeah. And it's when they start becoming more morally and socially responsible with the way they're going with. And not just the individual. You point out that like everyman, the like American movies has the everyman who, it wasn't that. It was them all putting all those things together, and each of them learning how to behave better and how to be more morally responsible. It kind of gets them to kind of try to solve this murder.
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue to the next movie, which is Mother, which came out in 2009. And I say that that's a good segue because Mother actually, the way I look at Mother is that because Mother and Memories of Murder are very similar.
And not Mother, not the
not the Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yeah,
no,
not the one with Jennifer Lawrence.
Not Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, not that one.
Bong Joon-ho's Mother. is the one. If you have to pick between two mothers, you want to go with Bong Joon-ho.
Yes.
So Mother and Memories of a Murder are very similar in that there is a killing and like you were just saying, a mentally underdeveloped man is accused of doing that killing, and so these cops and investigators take him and interrogate him, and they kind of treat him the same way. It's a lot of Memories of Murder is kind of retreaded in Mother.
Yeah.
But the difference is, like I was saying earlier, Memories of Murder is based on a true story that, of the serial murders that actually happened in Korea. Mother is like Bong Joon-ho's reconstruction of that from a fictional point of view, where he can control everything. So he can make it more dramatic, have a even bigger emotional impact, and also tell it from specific characters' points of view. So Mother, the title character of Mother is the mother of the mentally underdeveloped person that's accused of this crime, and so we see how she plays out. Whether or not her son is guilty, what she will do for him if he is, how she tries to save him because she doesn't believe that he is. So it's an amazing movie. It's got amazing acting in it as well. The main actress is Kim Hae-jae, and she won lots of awards for this movie, just in her own performance. So.
Yeah, and this whole movie centers around her experience, generally, and it's such a cool thing, because I think at some point in the movie you kind of make a decision for yourself on whether did he actually do it, did he not, was it somebody else?
Yeah,
and then no matter what side you pick, there is a surprise. Like if you think he actually was the murderer, and then you get to the end of the movie, there's surprises there. If you think that he was not the murderer, you get to the end, there's still surprises there. One way or another, there's still like a bunch of like surprises that happen, and it's a very like I didn't find it predictable at all. Like I
didn't find it predictable.
There are a lot of things that show up and made sense, and they kind of trace back a little. And you're like, wow, that makes sense, and how that happened.
And there's some things that that I feel like this is a movie. Thinking about it, you would assume that it's predictable because of things that happen in it, like really foreshadow a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does such a great job of presenting new evidence and new things to the story all throughout that it keeps you guessing, and you're never quite sure which way it's going to land. I could say this about all his movies. Just the way that he is able to make scenes that are uncomfortable still enjoyable. Like you were saying, like sprinkling in. No, I'm not just.
I thought you were getting distracted by me looking at this.
No, like you were saying about him sprinkling in comedy into different places. Like Mother has a few of those moments where it's just like, this is really harsh and this is so strange, but at the same time, like there's something relatable to it. Like if you were in these same circumstances, because it feels so real that, would you be making these same decisions and stuff like that? There's a moment in The Host right after the, just to backtrack for a moment, there's a moment in The Host right after the monster takes the girl from the family, that the family is in mourning, and it's done in such a way that it is, you completely feel what they're going through, and you completely understand the amount of mourning that's happening, but at the same time, it's kind of like comedic, and it's light. It's a very heavy moment, but still has a lightness to it because of their family relationship and how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
That it feels very real. Like this is what like like for example, if something bad had happened between the two of us and we were just sitting here going through it, but making a wisecrack to like try to cheer each other up or something like that. That's how that scene plays out, and it's something that's hard to do in film because in film we get these caricatures of people because there's only so much you can show in a film. Like you have like a limited amount of time to get into depth, but somehow Bong Joon-ho is able to find the depths of all his characters like so quickly, and you just like feel like you know them, and it's his work is just masterful. Like the way he pulls that kind of stuff off. Between Host and Mother, Bong Joon-ho actually did a short film for an anthology film. So he did a segment in an anthology film called Tokyo with an exclamation mark. So the theme of this anthology film is that it was three well-known directors who are not Japanese telling stories that were set in Tokyo, in Japan, and their ideas of what it means to be in Japan and the ideas of what Japan is to the world outside of Japan. So he's joined by Michel Gondry, who's another director that I love.
He's so good.
Yeah. Michel Gondry does one of these shorts, and Leos Carax, who's a French director, also does one of these shorts. And then Bong Joon-ho does the third short in the series. And Bong Joon-ho's segment is called Shaking Tokyo, and it deals with Japan has a word for people that are kind of shut in called hikikomori. And so this Shaking Tokyo story deals with a hikikomori guy who is absolutely refuses to leave his home. Like you first see the interior of his house and you can tell he's been there forever, but he's so like OCD, like he orders pizza and he has just like stacks of pizza boxes, but they're perfectly stacked, and if one is just a little off, then he has to go change it. And it's like the production on this is just great because you get right away like who this guy is, just based on the way that his living arrangement is set up. But one of the delivery people who comes to his place is a girl that he kind of develops a crush on, and things unfold to actually get him out of his house. And when he leaves his house, there's an earthquake and things shake. So it's like, that's where the title comes in. But it's an interesting look at how non-Japanese people see Japanese culture and the way Japanese people live, that Bong Joon-ho would specifically go to hikikomori, who's a shut-in, because that's a rising thing in Japan as well. It's very interesting. But yeah, if you get a chance to see Tokyo, the other two shorts in the anthology are great too. So I actually recommend the whole movie if you get the chance to see it. There's four of us. That was weird. And on the screen there was four of us.
Yeah. I was fixing stuff.
So this is Bong Joon-ho.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
To interrupt you. And so Goose Champer said that the Mother was on iTunes for rent for 99 cents if you want to watch it, as well as The Host. So if you
just for rent?
For rent, yeah.
Okay.
For rent. But still, if you
I
just
thought it
want
was
to
one
see
of those 99 cent like,
I do those all the
movies,
time.
and I was like, I'd buy that. I'd buy both of those.
I regularly go during sales and go, this one, this one, this one, this one.
But it's definitely worth a rent if you've not seen Mother. I have to say, Mother, earlier this year, because I knew we were going to be talking about Bong Joon-ho, I started a ranking on Letterboxd of Bong Joon-ho movies and ranking them how I favorite them. And The Host and Mother are interchangeable to me for the first spot, the number one spot. Those are my two favorite movies of his so far. I haven't seen Parasite yet. And it's interesting that we get one after the other. And Bong Joon-ho is on this like steady rise up. And he's become so big now that he's being thrown big budget money in big budget movies. And he ends up doing Snowpiercer, and Snowpiercer is probably my least favorite movie of his. There's something about him going like full on international and having such a big budget and such access to like big name stars and stuff, did I think that he kind of just like goes all out with it and it ends up to be too much. I like his movies that are more intimate, like the ones we've been talking about already. Because by the time we get to Snowpiercer, we have to give screen time to Chris Evans and Tilda Swinton and Octavia Spencer and Jamie Bell and John Hurt and Ed Harris. And the movie just kind of loses its focus at some point. Do you like Snowpiercer?
I watched it, half watched it. I lost interest. Because then it started feeling a lot like an American movie.
Yeah.
It was just like, it lost its charm from the intelligence and the craftsmanship of Mother and
the craftsmanship definitely comes out in the actual like physical production of the movie, because the movie is beautiful to look at. Like, it's got some great sets, great costuming. If you have not seen Snowpiercer, I kind of just plowed into Snowpiercer because it's his most well-known movie, because it's so Americanized. Because it's not actually an American production. It's a South Korean / Czech production. But it also is produced by Harvey Weinstein. So it is very Americanized. And it's quite obvious that Bong Joon-ho and Weinstein butted heads. Like, you could see that. And it's been notoriously documented that Weinstein wanted a completely different cut of the movie. He actually withheld the movie from being in a lot of theaters when it was first released, because he wanted a monologue added to the beginning and end of it, and he wanted certain scenes cut and all this kind of stuff. And Bong Joon-ho and him fought over it, and there was a big petition about, release Snowpiercer and all this kind of stuff. And it was a mess, and the movie was not worth the mess, to be honest. So, like I was saying, I plowed into it because I assume that most people, if you've seen a Bong Joon-ho movie, most American audience probably have seen Snowpiercer. But if you have not seen it, that's another thing, is that Bong Joon-ho's movies are intricate, but they're easy to understand. They're easy to follow. Snowpiercer is not easy to follow because there's so much fucking going on in this movie. So it's a post-apocalyptic world. Everyone who has survived this apocalypse now lives on a train, on a Snowpiercer train that is on a global track. The track goes around the entire world. How it goes over water and all that stuff, I don't know. I guess they figured it out. But and is constantly moving. It can never stop. The lower class people of the train live in the tail of the train and have started to revolt around the elite in the head of the train. So it's a action thriller based on classism, and there's just a lot going on. There's so many characters and so many like intricacies that it becomes a bit convoluted. Media Plug points out that there's a YouTube theory that Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which I've heard of. I have not looked into it because I'm just not that into Snowpiercer. But I have heard people mention that before, and I wonder. I do know that there are these chocolate bars in the movie that people in the lower classes eat because they don't get nutritious food like the other people. They're just given the leftovers, so they create these little bars that people eat. So maybe that's a tie into it somehow. But yeah,
there's a scene missing in between.
There's a scene missing in between.
In between the two movies.
What do you mean?
To join them.
How does it get from one to the other?
Oh yeah, I don't know the theory of how they're connected at all, so I can't even say. But yeah, there is a theory, and there's a YouTube video if you want to check that out if you've seen Snowpiercer.
Check it.
Check it.
Also, Gucci Champer earlier pointed out that both the host and Mother you can buy them for $6.99 on iTunes.
I assume all his movies are available to buy on iTunes.
No, but it's only $6.99.
Okay.
So they're also not that expensive.
Cool. The other thing. The other thing is that Snowpiercer is based on a French graphic novel, and when Bong Joon-ho was creating the movie, he actually just changed the entire story to fit the movie because it's a long series of graphic novels and you can only tell so much. So that might be also part of why there's so much going on in this movie and it doesn't quite connect. The Rise of Skywalker trailer is out. Art's gonna find it.
Oh no!
What's wrong?
I've just lost our monitor, so we can't watch anything. I've been trying to fix it this whole time we've been talking.
Well, we're gonna keep talking about Bong Joon-ho while Art figures it out. There's also like I said, Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer is probably his most popular film just because it hit American audiences and has all those big stars that people know. So that movie is now being franchised into a TV show for TNT. So next year, there will be a new Snowpiercer TV series. It's being rebooted. It's not the same as the movie. They're completely starting fresh for the show. But Jennifer Connelly and Daveed Diggs are going to be starring in it, and I like both of them. So
yeah.
I actually might check it out. I'm not certain, but I don't think Bong Joon-ho is actually involved with it. I think he might have because he's working on other stuff, his movies. I'd rather see his movies, to be honest, his own Korean movies, than to see him do more Snowpiercer stuff. But we'll see. Maybe this TV show will be interesting. So another movie that Bong Joon-ho did directly after Snowpiercer, or I guess a few years later, Snowpiercer came out in 2013. His next movie didn't come out until 2017, so it was a long time in there. But his next movie, because Snowpiercer was so popular, Netflix started throwing money at him. They were like, do a Netflix original for us. So if you've seen the movie Okja on Netflix, that's directed by Bong Joon-ho and has a lot of the same feel as Snowpiercer, although I like it a lot more than Snowpiercer. But it is it's kind of a cute and quirky Netflix movie about a girl and her pet pig who's actually a large animal creature that's been genetically created, and hidden within that cute story about the girl and her pet is actually a harsh social commentary on the meat industry, because this pig is actually genetically created and grown to be the most delicious meat, and they've created a few of these pig animals and sent them off to various areas of the world to grow, and they're going to, after a few years, bring all of these animals back so that they can be eaten and they can see which is the most delicious. And once we get to the point where the pigs have to go back, the girl who has been...
and what's the problem so far?
You want to eat
what's
the
the problem with delicious meat coming back?
Well, that's the problem, is that once we get to the point where the delicious meat comes back, this girl has already bonded with this pet as being, her best friend, and so she doesn't want her best friend to be eaten. So she puts up a fight to save her pig pet friend. It's an interesting movie, but I think that it. I love the story of it. I love the girl character who is played by Ahn Seo-hyun. So it's a South Korean actress in the lead. And when I did my Waddies for the year that Okja came out, I actually gave her character best character for that year, because I love how strong of a character she is in fighting an entire system, an entire industry for her friend, because that's what she thinks is right and is morally better than eating everything that everyone sees. So it was an interesting interesting movie for Netflix. But it's and like I was saying, the story is interesting, but because of all of that Netflix money and the big budget, and also having recognizable stars that you have to make sure they get lots of screen time. So this movie has, again, Tilda Swinton in a very off-the-wall role that she usually does, but also has Stephen Yeun, who's on The Walking Dead, and Jake Gyllenhaal, or Gyllenhaal, however his last name is supposed to be pronounced, and Paul Dano, who we were just talking about earlier, got cast as the Riddler, is also in this movie. So you have to, once you get these big budgets and have all these huge sets and these crazy things going on, and have to give screen time to all these American actors, the Bong Joon-ho-ness of it kind of gets watered down. So again, this is Okja I liked a lot more than Snowpiercer, but it's still towards the bottom of his list. Like, it's not as good as Mother or The Host or Memories of a Murder. But that leads us straight into Parasite, which came out this year. And Parasite is supposed to be Bong Joon-ho back to his roots. It's an all-Korean cast, a South Korean movie that he did on his own. Gooch Camper asks, did it make you consider not eating meat? No. I still eat meat. But watching the movie, there's an especially emotional segment. I don't want to give the movie away, but there's an especially emotional segment where this girl and her pet pig are trying to break out of a meat factory, and you see a bunch of the other creatures that she's not saving because they're not her particular pet pig friend. And it's a whole thing. Like, you watch the movie to get the gravitas of it, but it's a very emotional movie, and it didn't make me not want to eat meat, but I did.
Just not eat your own pets?
Well, I did understand. I understood the significance of what the movie was trying to say, and I get it. Like, there are huge problems with the meat industry, and I think that even meat eaters could benefit from changes in the way that animals are treated and the way that the meat system. The biggest, we talk about the things we do every day in our personal lives to try to combat climate change. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get too political, but the biggest culprit of climate change is the meat industry, because of the way that they produce meat and handle animals. And if we had a lot of changes, a lot of things could be a lot better. So that's without getting too much into politics. But as we can see, like, Bong Joon-ho's movies do get political. Like, Parasite, the new movie that's out, is supposed to be another film that comments on class and how society fits class, like what it means to be of an upper class or lower class, and all of that. So, but it's supposed to do it in a way that is fun and interesting, but also thrilling and horrific at the same time. Like, it's funny that a lot of things we talked about, if we were to watch the Parasite trailer, they actually mentioned in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Like, there's one moment in the trailer where it's like, you think it's one thing, but then it flips and it becomes something else. Like, those are words from the trailer. And that's literally like Bong Joon-ho's like storytelling method. Yeah. Like, I just love that he can do that. So I'm really, really excited to see Parasite.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully we'll get around. Hopefully it gets more widespread release.
I'm definitely going to. Dave has a busy week this week, and I have to be home this week. So probably at the beginning of next week, I'm rushing up to LA to go see it. I don't know. Sometime soon. I'm not going to wait for it to come.
Yeah. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully I get a screener at the end of the year, and that'll be nice.
And Lighthouse comes out on Thursday, Friday, however your theater does it. So that should be everywhere.
Sweet.
Did you get the trailer out?
No, it's not. It's doing this thing.
I just watched it.
Is it a good trailer? Our audience here is watching the trailer without us of this new Star Wars movie.
We're gonna have to watch it outside the show, just because maybe we'll record it. And it's just I can't get this monitor to stop flickering, so.
So once the show is over, if you haven't already in another screen, once this show is over, go watch the Star Wars trailer, and we're gonna watch the Star Wars trailer, and we'll.
Well, I'll do a reaction video. That way, with those of you who don't want to see it, because I know there's some of you who don't want to see it.
We'll reconvene.
It doesn't.
Media Plug says Media Luck.
Media Plug.
Media Plug says we don't think we needed another Star Wars trailer. Was already going to see it. True. I did run out of here was it like 4 minutes before it started to go buy tickets because somebody texted me tickets are on sale and I ran.
literally ran across the room, dropped whatever he was working on to set up the show and ran across the room.
And just bought 12 tickets. I don't know who's coming with me. I just bought 12 tickets. I was like, this it, and I bought 12 tickets. So I'm gonna find friends to come see it. Okay, so
that's Bong Joon-ho. If you
watch his movies.
If you haven't seen his movies, definitely check them out. My highest recommendations go to Mother, The Host, Memories of a Murder as well. But since Memories of Murder and Mother are so similar, I mean, if you want to watch both, definitely watch Memories of a Murder first and then Mother. But if you're only going to choose one, then personally, I would pick Mother. I don't know if you would do the same.
Oh, I would pick Memories of a Murder.
Yeah, so
watch both.
Watch both. Watch Memories of Murder first because that informs Mother.
And then, if you guys can, look for a channel called. This is what's called Every Frame a Painting. It's a YouTube channel. And then after you watch the movies, watch his videos on these two movies because they're great. He has a video on Mother and video on Memories of a Murder.
I'm so upset that he doesn't still do every.
He did like 7 episodes and then stopped.
He's not able to continue.
He's so good.
They were so well done. Watch all of his videos
too. That's right.
Watch all of his videos.
There's his Buster Keaton video. I watch all the time. I just watch whenever I'm like I'm gonna watch it again. I watch it all the time.
So maybe we need to step in and fill that void and make some videos like that.
Coach Kemper says he stopped to get into the industry.
Which is great.
There was some time where some of these essay kind of people were getting all kinds of copyright stuff on their videos. I'm like, it was so stupid. Some of the
these videos are made to make you appreciate and want to watch the movies. Don't take them down for copyright.
No, they're not trying to steal your movie. They're trying to actually get people to watch your movies. I know you're watching movie executives. All right. Do you have any recommendations for today?
I did, but I can't think of it. I don't. I had one, but I can't think of it offhand of what it was.
Great.
I don't remember. I've been watching my 31 Nights of Horror movies. I've been watching lots of horror movies. We just rewatched The Exorcist last night because Dave knew a lot of it, but hadn't seen it all the way through in a long time. And I hadn't seen it in a long time either. So we watched it and revisited it, and it's still a good movie. And I also rewatched. I guess for my recommendation, I can say that I rewatched Horror Noir on Shudder. Again, it's a Shudder exclusive. But I've talked about this movie before, but I'm just going to recommend it because watching it again, I got so emotional and into it. So it's a documentary on the Black experience and representation in horror movies, and just seeing the way that other Black critics and historians and filmmakers and actors talk about these movies that have affected me, and saying a lot of the things that I often think in my head but am not able to say because I'm sometimes around other people who don't understand it. Mm-hmm. To hear those words coming out of other people's mouths and knowing that someone else understands how I feel about this movie, like why Candyman is so important to me, it's just great. Or even why The Girl with All the Gifts is so important to me, why I thought that was so great. It is moving. Like I was almost in tears watching it for the second time. I definitely did cry the first time I watched it. So it's a good documentary.
So if you guys Why can't I say
I'm the same way.
Recommendations. There we go. Not recommendations, recommendations. There's usually there could be books, video games, anything. So as I'm saying this, because today I'm picking a video game. I just recently finished Celeste. If you guys, I think it's on Nintendo Switch. I also think it's on PC. Maybe. Celeste, it's a platformer game. And I bought it when it came out early this year, I think it was. And then I stopped playing it, and when I was on vacation, I finally had free time to actually play video games. So I sat and finished the game finally. It's such it's a difficult platformer. If you ever played Super Meat Boy, isn't that kind of vein where it's a platformer, but it like kicks your butt. It makes you like you're repeating the level over and over and over.
But how many lives do you have? Like, do you
have unlimited lives? And the cool thing is, as soon as you die, you pop back to the beginning of that one puzzle you're working on. So you go screen. So you can do that. It's such a it's a really good game.
You don't find it frustrating?
No, it's so weird. No, because it's really rewarding. It's a weirdly, some games you're like, ugh, fuck this, and then you're done. No, this one, like, you want to succeed. You want to it has this like fulfillment. Then once you finish it, like it gets better. The really cool thing about it is a big metaphor for depression. The whole game deals with depression from beginning to end, and this girl's experience with it, and how she deals with it, and how basically her depression is materialized as a kind of like an evil version of herself, and she is fighting with herself, and like and it's like a metaphor for depression. But then they get like full on talking about depression and all this stuff. So it was like a very like emotional kind of a game, but like really rewarding. It was very well done. I think it's Canadian, because Canadian people are really nice and make nice things. But go check it out. It's really fun.
It's called Celeste?
Celeste.
Okay.
CELEST. Find out what it means to me. So yeah,
that's not the right word.
Something like that. Hey, Rivaldi just showed up. We're about signing off though. Valen says, I'm working through Ask Divine Hearts on my phone and Dragon Age Inquisition on PS4. I started Dragon Age Inquisition. I want to go back to it. My favorite current video game is Little Misfortune, says Megal Baseman.
Is it? I guess the chat isn't updating there.
Oh, no, it does. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with episode 2 of Shadow. Oh shoot, I forgot the name of the game, the Tuesday night game.
Solemns?
No, it's not Solemns.
No,
it's right now. Well, because Danny's gone, so Haley.
Oh, that's right.
Haley Haley Chavers is DMing for Danny. So check it out.
So just come in. What time?
7:30. 7:30 on
tomorrow.
Tuesday. And then
come see a game.
And Perception Check is back on Wednesday night, same time. Chunk is back. Brian's back. Cucumber's not back yet, but it'll be fun. So
and then next week on Cinephilia, if you have not seen the movie Trick or Treat, we're talking about that next week for Halloween. So definitely check out Trick or Treat, and you will hear me gush over little Sam and his sack head.
Cool.
I love. Yeah, I have the mask. The mask that is usually in the background, is it still? Oh, it's not in this shot. The mask that I have that's usually in the background of the shot. Maybe I'll wear it. Maybe I'll do a show through a mask.
Oh, and Valen says it's called Shadow's Edge. That's the show tomorrow.
Reed H. Cooper is Trick or Treat. That one. The anthology horror movie, Trick or Treat, without the O.
All right.
Cool.
I guess that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll Cinephilia later. I gotta learn how to not look at the button before I press it. Outro did not play. Oh no! Look, we're still live.
We're still live? Why are we still live?
Wait, hold on. No, I have to fix it. We're gonna do it again. Because I was doing stuff. Okay, here we go. And we pretend that didn't happen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll
Cinephilia later.